Let's keep this insight train rolling. And this time I am bringing you the founder and CEO of Medix Global. That's an organization that provides unique medical management solutions aiming really at democratizing healthcare and reducing unwarranted healthcare variations by improving accessibility, quality, and affordability, of medical care. And that is Sigal Atzmon. Thank you very much for joining us, Sigal.
Thank you so much for having me today. Very proud to be on your show.
Yes, and we're very honored to have you. Particularly, we know you do a lot of work abroad, nationally, internationally, and with this war between Russia and Ukraine, we know that essentially there are some medical supply issues going on. Is that right?
Well, as in any war, medical supplies, medical services, doctors, just accessibility to healthcare are a big issue. In this war, it is even worse than ever. It is really difficult. It is even more complex to get supplies in. You know, we have quite a lot of experience with medical support and humanitarian aid. This time it has been very complex, different occupation zones, and it's changing every hour. We need to rethink how we're doing, who are we contacting on the ground, and it's getting worse every minute.
Wow, and so you said it makes it very complex. Are there anything that's going on that's specific that really makes this so much different than in other instances of conflict?
Well, first of all, the attacks direct on civilians and the changing geography. So within such a big country, you have areas that are where you have a lot of Russian soldiers already. You have other areas that yesterday you had less missiles or less violence, or you had more Ukrainians and you could collaborate, and through different borders like Poland, you could bring in supplies. It's getting more and more complicated. We were trying 2 days ago to bring cancer treatment in by ways of pills, just simple medication boxes, to a family that was 2 hours away from Kiev. That's not possible anymore. They begged not to leave their country. They really wanted, they were running out of medication, and we tried everything. And tonight they're actually boarding a car and trying to flee because they understand it's not possible, and we couldn't make it. What we did do is we managed to bring in a ton of medical supplies. A ton is quite a lot. Baby powder milk, special wrappings for burns and things like that. So we did manage, but it's getting more and more difficult and more dangerous also.
Yes, I would imagine very dangerous, especially given that we're not necessarily getting truthful humanitarian engagement from the Russians in particular. And when it comes to ensuring that people get the medical services and assistance that they need, are you running into issues when it comes to actually, I guess, figuring out what's really going on here? And I'm sure that informs the level of support you can provide.
We have zero collaboration from the Russians, although we tried, but we have a lot of people on the ground in Ukraine, Ukrainians and still non-Ukrainians, and they still work on their phone lines, on their mobile cellular lines. So we get information of where people are. We have people at the borders, and we have a lot of different people in different countries really collaborating. So people in Germany, people in Poland, we have people giving up their apartments, waiting at the borders, taking people in their own cars, in buses. I've never seen ever Europe so united and the world so united, and everyone is trying to help, but it's very difficult on the ground. I can say that we do get information that seems reliable from the ground from Ukrainians, and they're just so brave, so resilient. Adrian, this is so inspiring. Oh, it's really incredible.
And it's quite inspiring. You wish you weren't, it didn't come to this, but it's good to know that people do have the resilience and that they are doing the best that they can under the circumstances. And I definitely know that you and Medix Global are doing the best that you can given the circumstances. And also you had mentioned essentially the unity with Europe and other nations really looking to support and ensure that Ukrainians are getting the medical help that they can, that you can get to them. So if you could tell me, I guess, who are you finding is funding you more? Are you able to get resources from other countries, from private donors, contributions? I guess, who is able to make it happen?
So we fund our own donations. So we are a healthcare company that provides services to customers spread in over 90 different countries with offices in 12 different countries on the ground. And our employees, our team members, we ourselves have funded this 1 ton that was sent to Ukraine and continue to fund. We have partners and companies we work with that just offer through our ties on the ground to also donate. And I'm reaching out to anyone through our website. They can reach out to us, anyone who wants to donate or help or support. Just please rise and stand up and cry with us and try to support. And this is a fight for Ukraine, but this is a fight for democracy. So we fund our own donations, but we reach out to everyone out there and say, everyone can do the same, small or big. Every small gesture makes a difference. There's so many Ukrainians out there who cry for help.
Yes, indeed. And we're watching a lot of them on television and being able to see the distressing situation that they're in. And so to be able to have services like you provide at Medix Global, it must be something that is very important for individuals there on the ground, ensuring that they have the medical services and the management help that they need. And also when it comes to potentially working with hospital facilities, those, or even just the makeshift medical facilities are being made there. Are you able to get in contact with them and to essentially be able to offer your services and support?
At this point of time, hospitals have become shelters. People just go on the, on their ground floors, -1. They just try to find shelters. Hospital beds are taken downstairs. Children who had surgery, who were supposed to be in ICU, are dragged into shelters. My heart cries to say, but these are not hospitals anymore. It's really anarchy. There's no order. There's nothing works like before. And in what I feel on the ground, it's getting worse with the hour. So the 24 last hours have been worse than the last few days. And unfortunately, I will try to sleep tonight, but I don't know if I'm gonna wake up. And the people that were still alive a few hours ago, I don't know if they will be alive. I don't know if those children in those hospitals will be bombed or not. And we take it 1 hour by the hour and we try to reach out to people. We have people on the ground. We know a lot of families. True, one family brings the other. They get our phone numbers, and it's just like a big net of a lot of people from different countries who are trying to help and are getting together and trying to help. But what's on the other side is changing. And I feel that Russia is becoming more and more brutal every day. And honestly, I don't know what we're gonna wake up to tomorrow morning. It's terrible. It's really terrible.
It is indeed, and I think that's something that we are all uncertain of as well. And in terms of the experience for Medix Global, is this your first instance in being in a conflict of this size?
So we have done a lot of humanitarian aid and medical aid with this big COVID wave in India where people were dying in the streets. We supported China in the beginning, really in the beginning of the pandemic, where healthcare workers were drawn into impossible situations. We've done a lot of work with the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. We have also offices in Tel Aviv. We have a lot of offices in the Middle East and in Asia. So we've done a lot of crises, but this amplitude, this vastness, this brutality, and the asymmetry between the victim and the aggressor is just almost unrealistic. Is this David and Goliath? What are we dealing with? And where are we going? I'm not really sure we know. This is a very sensitive, sensible situation. If we push too hard, we're getting into World War III. If we won't push and more sanctions are not gonna come, then Vladimir Putin will just walk through Europe and take a smaller, bigger, or very extra large piece of his own cake. We need to make up our minds how we want our future to look like. And we need to stand tall, not to stay still. And I think we need to ramp up our sanctions.
Yes, and I think it's a very difficult position that we're in, particularly as you mentioned with Vladimir Putin essentially waving before us the potential of World War III, given his access to nuclear weapons. And kind of speaking of nuclear, I know we have some concerns, especially with Chernobyl and the other potentially very disruptive instances of nuclear power plants and whatnot. Is that in any way factoring into how you're able to provide medical care, given the potential for a whole new set of injuries if in the event that we have some kind of nuclear explosion?
Well, currently it doesn't impact at all. And I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but right now it's a threat. Everyone speaks about it, but no one really believes it's going to happen. Does that make sense? I can't tell you. If I can share that about 3 weeks ago, I was talking to very prominent people and saying, I think he might do it. Vladimir Putin might go and get in. He's planning, he's serious about it. So many people said, oh no, Sigal, he won't. He's just threatening, it's not really going to happen, and here we are. And now we speak, and a lot of people tell me nuclear war is not going to happen. I don't know. Do we know, Adrian? Do we know where we're going? Right now it has no impact, but I cannot tell you we're not on the right straight walking into World War III with a nuclear, maybe not this massive nuclear situation, but I cannot say no. I don't think, as much as we think Putin is predictable, is he really?
It's a good question. And I don't think any of us have the answer except for Putin himself, and he may not have it. But either way, we know that this is a very volatile situation and it's very upsetting. But also in context, we are so grateful to have the work that you do as the founder and CEO of Medix Global. And so if people want to get more information or want to lend support, where can they find you?
www.medix-global.com. I'll repeat that, www.medix-global.com. Just send us an email, we'll be very happy. Just stand up and just reach out, and we'll do everything we can to help the Ukrainians.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Sigal Atzmon, founder and CEO of Medix Global.
Thank you so much, keep safe, and let's hope for better times.
Yes, indeed.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.